Welcome back to Zodiac Talks Tarot, the space where we treat astrology as a living map of human nature rather than a quick fix or superstition. My name is your longtime researcher and storyteller, and after decades of studying zodiac patterns, social psychology, and the way ancient wisdom threads through modern lives, I can tell you that today's reading is special. We're not just glancing at a spread of cards, we're entering a story about truth breaking through illusion, about independence meeting intimacy, and about the bold fire of Aries drawing hidden love out of the shadows. This October 2025 reading is titled They Can No Longer Fool Themselves, They're in Love with You, and about to let you know it, and it's exactly as dramatic as it sounds. Aries, let's be honest, subtlety has never been your favorite sport. As the first sign of the zodiac and a child of Mars, you're the one who bursts through the door with the idea, the plan, the spark. This month, though, the script flips. Someone else has been rehearsing their confession, hiding behind polite smiles, trying to act cool, but inside they're doing emotional push-ups just to keep it together. Think of it like a novel where the supporting character finally drops the mask and delivers the speech they've been practicing in the wings. You might even find it amusing. Aries humor often sounds like, "You mean you've been in love with me all this time? Welcome to the club." But beneath the comedy there's a deeper rhythm. The eclipse energy this season isn't random. In every chart I've seen, it's acting like a karmic reset button, especially for fire signs. It's burning away the clutter, the outdated attachments, and the self-doubt that has kept your own garden from blooming fully. If you've been wondering why your finances, your energy, or your mood felt stuck, look to the quiet grief you've been carrying. Old disappointments can clog new abundance. October asks you to release them, to take off your own mask of "I'm fine" and instead stand in your truth. And that's what makes this confession from the other side so important. It's not just about romance, it's about alignment. It's about the universe showing you, in real time, who belongs in your orbit and who doesn't. In this year of triumph 2025, Aries is being asked to act like one of the chosen ones, not because of some mystical entitlement, but because of the courage it takes to live authentically. So as we go deeper into today's spread, keep that image in mind, you at center stage, not chasing, not performing, simply shining so brightly that truth can no longer hide. Aries, let's talk about conflict, because October 2025 is not about playing it safe or sweeping things under the rug. The first spread began with financial and material changes, which, at a glance, echoes the traditional Five of Pentacles, loss, scarcity, the feeling of standing outside the gates while everyone else is warm inside. But as any seasoned researcher of the human psyche and the zodiac will tell you, cards are not static, they are mirrors, and when this one is paired with the Nine of Pentacles, the story transforms. Suddenly the narrative is no longer about being abandoned, it's about finding strength in independence. It is the tale of someone who, despite the bruises, stands tall in their garden, harvesting the fruits of labor that no one else can claim credit for. This duality is vital because Aries, you are walking a threshold. On one side echoes the old fears: scarcity, abandonment, rejection. On the other side stands a new image of you, self-sufficient, radiant, grounded in your own worth. In psychological terms, this is the classic tension between grief and growth. When we carry unresolved wounds, whether from financial setbacks, betrayals in love, or promises left unfulfilled, those unspoken losses can sit in the subconscious like stones in the soil. And when the soil is heavy, nothing grows easily. Your prosperity becomes tangled with grief until you decide to pull the stones out one by one. Here's the blunt truth, Aries. You're not always the best at admitting when you're hurting. You are a Mars-ruled fire sign, the archetypal warrior. You'd rather strap on armor, march into the battle of everyday life, and pretend the arrows lodged in your chest don't sting. Vulnerability is not your first instinct. But here's the cosmic catch: when you deny your pain, you don't just fool others, you eventually fool yourself. And there is nothing more dangerous to an Aries than believing their own mask. This month refuses to let you continue that performance. That's why the message has been pressing through with such urgency. October wants honesty, not the polished facade. Now, let's shift to the love story unfolding in the spread, because here's where it gets juicy. The cards deception and envy appear, only to be followed by accelerated motion. If tarot were a novel, this would be the chapter where the supporting character throws down their disguise and blurts out the truth. Someone around you has been playing the role of just a friend or casual acquaintance. They've been practicing the fine art of pretending they're fine, pretending their feelings are under control, pretending that they can stand next to your fire without catching flame themselves. But Aries, their mask is slipping, and denial only lasts until reality storms through the door. You've probably noticed the cracks already, the lingering glance they thought you wouldn't catch, the nervous laugh when your hand brushed theirs, the awkward subject change when the conversation edged too close to intimacy. These are the micro-confessions, the small earthquakes that signal the tectonic plates of their heart are about to shift. October 2025 is that earthquake. The denial breaks, and what spills out is not infatuation or convenience, it's love. The kind of love they've been running from, the kind that makes them uncomfortable because it's real. And here's where the Aries humor kicks in. Picture them in front of the mirror, psyching themselves up. Okay, Aries, here it goes. I think I've been in love with you forever. They clear their throat, adjust their shirt, try again. No, too dramatic. Okay, Aries, you're the best thing that ever happened to me. No, too cheesy. They've been rehearsing, sweating, overthinking. And then, when the words finally tumble out in your presence, how do you respond? With classic Aries bluntness, you just figured that out now? I knew 2 eclipses ago. It's not arrogance, it's simply the Aries way, bold, unapologetic, delivered with a wink. Yet behind the humor, there's a deeper significance. This isn't just about someone confessing. It's about you being confronted with the very thing you sometimes resist, intimacy that isn't on your terms. You're used to charging forward, to initiating, to being the one who sets the tempo. But this October, someone else strikes the drum. They can no longer fool themselves, and they can no longer fool you. The question is, will you meet their truth with your own? Remember, the cards show that your abundance, emotional, financial, spiritual, is linked to how you handle your grief and your openness. When you pretend you're fine, when you suffer in silence, you put distance between yourself and authentic connection. But when you drop the mask, when you allow both the pain and the possibility to exist, life accelerates. That's what accelerated motion is telling you. The moment of honesty acts like a slingshot, propelling you and this connection forward into a new orbit. So, Aries, October 2025 writes you into a drama where masks fall and truths emerge. Your task is not to armor up but to meet the confession with clarity. Maybe you accept it, maybe you don't, but either way you stand in your self-sufficiency, rooted in the lesson that abundance thrives when grief is acknowledged, not denied. And if you can laugh along the way, especially when someone finally admits what you've known all along, then you've already mastered the balance between Mars fire and the quiet wisdom of self-love. Aries, this is where the reading deepens into territory that blends psychology, philosophy, and even a touch of Buddhist wisdom. The cards emphasize with a persistence that cannot be ignored, self-love is the magnet, the axis around which everything else revolves. Before anyone confesses their undying feelings for you, before a relationship takes a dramatic turn, before abundance begins to spill in like a tide at high moon, you must embody your own value. You must claim it, breathe it, and live it. Think about it. If you constantly make yourself available to people who ghost you, disappoint you, or only call when they're lonely at 2 a.m., what message are you sending the universe? You're essentially saying, my time, my fire, my Aries spark, it's fine if it's taken for granted. And the universe, like an obedient waiter, keeps serving you the same dish of unreciprocated energy. The cycle only ends when you raise your standards. Self-love isn't just bubble baths and affirmations, it's the daily practice of not settling for scraps. It's you saying, I know my worth, and I refuse to lease my soul out at a discount. Buddhist philosophy puts this beautifully. Suffering in silence, clinging to people who won't or can't show up, is nothing more than an attachment to illusion. The Buddha taught that grasping at illusions creates suffering, and Aries, you're not built to carry chains. By admitting to yourself, that didn't feel good, you are not wallowing, you're reclaiming sovereignty. You're taking the wheel of your life back from the backseat driver of denial. And here's the important part, you don't speak your truth to manipulate anyone or to provoke guilt. You speak it because truth heals. It's like finally ripping off the bandage that was hiding the wound. The air stings for a moment, but then the healing begins. The paradox is almost poetic. When you begin showing up for yourself with that kind of raw authenticity, others can't help but follow. Suddenly, the person who's been dodging their feelings finds themselves magnetized. They see your glow, your unshakable confidence, and the love they've been hiding bursts forward. This is the law of resonance. When you stop chasing, what is meant for you runs to meet you. But let's shift the lens for a moment, because this reading isn't only about love. The spread practically shouts about your career and abundance. The Nine of Pentacles is no lightweight card, it's the image of self-sufficiency, of the person who cultivated their own garden through effort, persistence, and vision. Aries, your career potential is skyrocketing. Whatever you've been building, whether it's a business, a creative pursuit, or simply mastery in your chosen field, the message is loud and clear, don't give up. Now, society likes to sell us overnight success stories, but psychology and research tell us the truth. Mastery is not a lightning strike, it's a slow burn. Malcolm Gladwell popularized the 10,000 hour rule, and while the number may not be exact, the principle is sound. 5 hours makes you a curious beginner. 100 hours makes you competent. 1,000 hours makes you someone to be reckoned with. Aries, you might be closer to mastery than your impatience allows you to believe. Your fire wants results yesterday, but October whispers, persistence outpaces perfection. Here's where practical wisdom enters, diversify. Not in the sense of scattering yourself so thin that you collapse, but in the sense of resilience. The world is shifting quickly. AI, global markets, even the way relationships function is evolving at breakneck speed. Having multiple streams of income is not about greed, it's about freedom. If your main hustle falters, your side passion could sustain you. If the economy wobbles, your creativity could carry you. And here, the broader theme of 2025 emerges. The year of triumph 2025 will favor those who refuse to cling desperately to one fragile branch when the winds of change howl. The chosen ones, those who thrive, will be the ones who dared to be bold enough to try, to plant seeds in more than one field, to trust that their fire could light more than one torch. And if there's any sign designed to embody boldness, it's you, Aries. The universe isn't asking you to abandon what you're building, it's inviting you to expand it. So if you've been dreaming about that YouTube channel, that ETSE shop, that consulting gig, that online course, October is your launch window. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Don't wait until you feel like an expert. Remember, even the masters began with clumsy first steps. The garden of your abundance doesn't flourish by accident, it flourishes when you plant boldly, water consistently, and prune ruthlessly. Let's add a dash of humor here. because Aries energy needs levity. Imagine you're at a party and someone asks what you do. If you've diversified, your answer might sound like a punchline: "Oh, I run a business, manage a YouTube channel, sell handmade candles on Etsy, and occasionally teach a mindfulness class." They'll blink and say, "Wait, do you ever sleep?" And you, in true Aries fashion, will grin and reply, "Sleep is for people who don't have empires to build." That's the kind of fire you're working with this month. So the lesson is twofold. In love, self-love is your magnet. Drop the mask, stop suffering in silence, and watch the universe line people up who want to meet you at your true worth. In career, persistence and diversification are your weapons. Don't cling to one narrow path, let your boldness carve new routes to freedom. October is not just another month. It is an initiation, a reminder that when you honor yourself fully, both in love and in work, the world rearranges itself to honor you back. Aries, let's circle back to what most of you came here for: romance. I know you didn't click on this reading to hear me give a TED talk about spreadsheets, income diversification, or the 10,000-hour rule. You want to know about love. You want to know what to do when this person finally blurts out their feelings, or when you suddenly recognize that maybe you've been the one wearing the mask. And the truth is, the advice is simple but profound: speak your truth for you, not for them. What does that look like in practice? It means you stop waiting for validation like a text message that may never come. You stop giving power to someone else's recognition of your worth. Instead, you speak your truth in a way that restores your sovereignty. You might say, "That didn't feel good when you disappeared." Or, "I deserve consistency." Or even, "I'm choosing to invest my energy where it's reciprocated." Notice the difference here: you are not guilting them, not begging them, not putting yourself in the courtroom of their approval. You're simply drawing a boundary. And funny enough, when an Aries draws a boundary, people tend to notice. It's like the fire alarm going off in a crowded building. Suddenly, everyone scrambles to pay attention. If this person is genuine, if they truly are the real deal, they'll step into cooperation and union, just as the cards predict. They'll match your fire with their own. But if they aren't ready, if their love is still entangled with excuses, they will fall away. Either way, you win. Because the deeper love story isn't about whether they show up, it's about whether you show up for yourself. Too often, Aries, you've tried to bulldoze forward, thinking if you just work harder, shout louder, or give more, love will balance itself. But the paradox is that love aligns when you are fully aligned with yourself. And this is where the giraffe spirit enters, closing the reading with a graceful, almost novelistic touch. Think of the giraffe, towering above the savanna. Its neck stretches higher, giving it a perspective few others can access. Aries, this is your cue to step back and rise higher. From the ground, everything feels urgent: who texted, who didn't, who stayed, who left. But from the vantage point of the giraffe, you see the bigger pattern. You see that love isn't just about whether someone calls you on Friday night, it's about alignment. Does this connection feed your fire or slowly extinguish it? Does it encourage your growth, or does it tether you to cycles of scarcity? The giraffe's lesson doesn't stop at love. From above, finances aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. They're symbols of freedom, the freedom to live a life aligned with your passions rather than chained to obligations. The giraffe spirit reminds you that the universe has a wider vantage point than you can see today. Trust it. Trust that sometimes delays, detours, and even disappointments are actually directing you to the higher ground where your true vision becomes clear. So where does that leave you, Aries, in October 2025? Here, in your crucible moment. On the surface, yes, it's about someone who can no longer pretend. It's about love breaking through denial, about a confession finally surfacing after months or even years of silence. But beneath that surface, the real message is deeper. It's about you removing your own mask, about no longer suffering quietly, about reclaiming the authority over your own worth. It's about choosing self-love not as a slogan but as a daily practice. And here's the beauty, the moment you stop letting grief sabotage your joy, abundance flows. The moment you refuse to let inconsistency take root in your relationships, stability appears. The moment you allow yourself multiple paths, multiple streams of income, multiple passions, you gain the freedom your fiery soul has been craving. October asks you not just to wait for confessions, but to step boldly into creating a life that reflects your worth. And perhaps most importantly, this is about stepping into your destiny as one of the chosen ones in this year of triumph 2025. The cosmos isn't asking you to shrink yourself to fit into someone else's comfort zone. It's asking you to expand, to lead by example, to show what happens when someone truly honors their fire. Aries isn't here just to be loved, you're here to demonstrate what fearless authenticity looks like. Now, I can't resist ending with a bit of Aries humor. When this person finally blurts out their feelings, maybe awkwardly, maybe stumbling over the words, don't tease them too hard for taking so long. Or maybe do. After all, it's very Aries to grin and say, welcome to the party, I've been waiting. Either way, the spotlight this October is yours. Step into it with pride, with clarity, and with that trademark Aries boldness that makes the world pay attention. So, Aries, my closing encouragement to you is this: enjoy your life. Enjoy the thrill of the confession, the sweetness of abundance, and the power of knowing that you can create the future you want. Don't let old wounds or old doubts chain you to scarcity. Laugh often, love bravely, work persistently, and remember that your fire is not here to be hidden, it's here to light the way. If you found this reading insightful, if it spoke to your heart or gave you even a single aha moment, I invite you to support this journey. Like this video, share it with someone who might need the message, and subscribe to the channel Zodiac Talks Tarot so we can continue exploring the deep intersections of astrology, psychology, philosophy, and life together. October's stage belongs to you, Aries. Step forward, the curtain is rising.